From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Well, good evening and welcome into OpenLine. I'm Chuck Long, glad to be here with you for the next hour. Very excited about tonight's show. It is Ask an Expert night, and it is Ask the Lawyer. We're asking the attorney, and one of our favorites here, every time Kevin Kennedy is here, we get so many calls, so I'm just going to kind of give you a little heads up to begin with. When you have a question, when you have a comment, go ahead and get online with us. The number right there is 737-7587. That's 615-737-7587. We are going to cover the gamut of why you might need an attorney. And Kevin Kennedy, great to see you.
Good to be with you, Chuck. It's always a fun night when I get to be with you, so I've been looking forward tonight. It's exciting and thrilling.
Same here. So now tell us a little bit about, I know a lot of folks are regulars and they see you every time that you're on, but for those new tuning in.
Well, here's the law business.
Okay.
Everyone has to deal with it. If we live in America, you're forced to work and live under the legal system, American judicial system. We're in the state of Tennessee. We're under state law, city law. We're under federal law. And you say, it's really not fair that we have to know all these laws, because if you violate one, ignorance of the law is no excuse. You've always heard that. That is true. And so many people say, I didn't know it was against the law to do this. That's why this broadcast is so good. And so even the lawyers do not know all the particulars of every circumstance, but they'll know the theory and they can stand on it. So tonight, in my practice, I've been a lawyer now in excess of 33 years. Criminal law, civil law, you name it, you've been around. And one of the interesting things, Chuck, about the law business, you can't really touch one area of law without touching two or three.
Right.
So many times they say, well, he's a divorce lawyer. Well, what does he know about bankruptcy? Well, what does that matter? He better know a lot about, because they say a house divided cannot stand. And you know, I had some friends and I said, well, what about it? He said, well, I got her a new diamond ring last year. I said, that's great. And I said, what'd she get the year? He said, a Cadillac. I said, that's great. I said, what she want this year? He said, she wants a divorce. And I told her I can't afford it. How
there
true.
You go. Exactly.
How true.
That happens.
Golly.
Well, I tell you what, and you know, the great thing too when you're here is there are so many questions that I know when people are out watching, you're watching this evening, you just turn the television on, and it's a great opportunity to go ahead and ask those questions that are on your mind, because there's so many reasons that I think we want to talk to the attorney, to ask the attorney the questions.
Know, what I like to tell people too, you know, through the week, you say, man, I wish I had, so write it down through the week. And when you have one of these, jump on the line and we'll try to get to your question. You know, knowledge is power. And many times, you know, even myself, I could come in and I could just talk it over with you. You've been around, you're watching all this. You could take the bar exam after you get finished with all these shows. And they'd say, wow, how did he know so much? Because you're constantly learning. One of the things about the law is constantly changing. So you take a lawyer 40 years ago, he said, well, he was a master, but the law changes. And you know, one of the other interesting things, when men's ideas and values change, so changes the law.
Right.
Is it right? Is it wrong? What is justice? The law is the law. And then they say, well, let the judge interpret it. Well, that's why we have some days we appeal and there's 3 judges, and we appeal and there's 5 judges, and then you go to the Supreme Court and they have so many judges, the majority opinion, the minority opinion. Everybody has their own opinion.
There you go. Well, as always, we are your forum, so we are here to answer your questions, your comments. Feel free to call in at any point. Already the line's getting busy, so we're going to go right to them right now. Cindy is on the line with us. Cindy, good evening. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin Kennedy?
Well, Mr. Kennedy, I have a question about workman's comp law.
All right, hit it.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have had a fall at work back in January, injured my foot, have been going through various doctors, and I'm curious, well, actually, I got a call from Workman's Comp today. They said they are no longer going to cover medical care because I am back to my baseline.
All right.
I am not. I'm still in pain and was recently diagnosed with diabetes, and they're trying to blame the pain in my foot on my diabetes. Never had a foot problem before.
All right.
Thank you for that question. You know, they have recently, within the last several years, changed the workers' comp laws. Why do they do that? So many big industries come to Tennessee, and they come because our workers' comp laws through the legislature have protected industry and business. Well, you say, what does that really mean, Kevin? That means the worker lost some rights. So I'm glad you called. If you're hurt on the job, it is your exclusive remedy. And if you work for these companies, so again, you should learn all you can, as much as you can, as fast as you can. Remember, you're building your case from day one. What happened? Was it clearly on the job? Once the job says, yes, we're going to pay, well, how long will they pay? They pay temporary total benefits. And so then it always gets down to the health care professionals. What do they say? Do they say she still has these injuries? Is it going to require surgery? If so, I submit you will get a permanent injury disability. What is that worth? Then you have to go to the charts. And so always seek as much legal advice as you can. You ask a lot of lawyers questions, doesn't cost anything. I always try to hire a lawyer. Workers' comp, 20% of the recovery, and people say, well, I don't want to spend that 20. The truth is, that's some great money to spend. What I would do is try to see what that health care professional said. Is it a permanent injury? And I try to pin them down. Many times they don't want to give you a disability rating, but I would press them for a disability rating. Number two, many times I like for the husband and wife to go see that professional together, so that one can ask the question, what do you think? And so, you know, some of those guys are so sensitive, they're getting away from you because you're too smart. So I want to know, are you going to pay? How many more treatments do we have? Ask the questions. And then when you go to the settlement, see if they will leave your medical open so you can continue on with that. Remember this, the insurance companies are always going to pay you as least as they can, and it's your agenda to try to maximize whatever your problem is.
All right, great advice as always. If you're just tuning in, this is your opportunity to ask an attorney. We are asking the expert tonight, and of course from the Kennedy Law Firm, Kevin Kennedy, one of our most popular guests, and it's a great way whether you have questions on criminal law, family law, bankruptcy, estate planning, wills. I mean, it runs the gamut. Kevin is the expert and able to answer those questions that you have coming in this evening. We are going back to the lines right now. Teresa is on the line with us. Teresa, good evening. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've been working for in retail for approximately going on 13 years. It's been rumored that the store will be closing June the 1st. And I'm just denying the fact that I've got 99.9% for sureness from someone that does have authority there that it will no longer be there. That one notice will be given verbally, and that's it. Is that?
All right, well, we're inside the state of Tennessee. Everything that affects all the listeners to this broadcast, the rules and the laws are implemented and passed by our legislature. You really should learn, but you know what the law is in Tennessee on employment? It's called employment at will in Tennessee. What that really means is that I can hire you and I can fire you. You have to have no reason. It also means that you as the worker can go to work for me or you can quit for any reason. Now, unless you can fit in one of these pigeonhole claims, they have a right to close and go. But of course they say, well, that's not fair to the worker. Well, if there has been discrimination on any sort, there can be claims. If there's been harassment in the workplace, if it's been a hostile work environment, whatever those claims are, you can seek your own private counsel and you can advance your own claim. So many times, a lot of times companies would say, I'm going to give everybody a little severance package. This is going to waive all this. I'll give you this. Take it or leave it. Seek a lawyer's advice. We see them go from $150,000. We've seen them at $300,000. That's the professionals when they're trying to close down. And then we've seen some, you know, that they said we're going to give you three weeks. A lawyer may get it up to 6 months. You just don't know. The squeaky door gets the oil, so you've got to constantly advance. and they say, you know, we're going to try to pay off Chuck. He's too smart. He's just too smart. He's been doing that legal show too long. Y'all bring Chuck in and see if we can work out a little plan with Chuck, and then we'll deal with the others in a different fashion.
There you go. It's because I've been listening to you.
Come on, Chuck.
There you go. All right. Our phone lines are extremely busy right now. If you are on the line with us, stay on the line. We'll get to as many calls as we possibly can during this hour. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, more questions, more comments with Kevin Kennedy on Ask an Expert, Ask an Attorney. You want to be here. We're on Open Line. We'll be right back.